Based off the Ford Escape, the baby Bronco here has quite a bit to prove that it's more than just some hopped up Ford Focus. This is, well, a baby Bronco. It is in that Bronco family. It's designed to go off-road. Hello, my name is Jimmy, and this is the 2025 Bronco Sport Outer Banks with the Sasquatch Package. And with that, well, you get quite a few upgrades that make this little sport ute very, very capable. Let's start off with what it adds. First, we have to talk about these tires. We get 32-inch AT tires. These are Goodyear Territory RTs, all-terrains. Behind that, you do get the high-performance off-road stability suspension, or HOS, and it does add an inch of ground clearance. Under the back end, there's an advanced twin-clutch rear diff allowing for torque vectoring. Adding to the exterior, we do get this modular steel front bumper with this bush guard. Underneath that, you get steel skid plates from front all the way to the back. The rear bumper is metal with integrated recovery hooks and a Class 2 trailer hitch. Other than those exterior upgrades, it's still a Bronco. You still got the Bronco grille, LED headlamps. On the side, aforementioned AT tires, and you also get this tie down. So whatever is on the roof, you can strap it right here. You do get proximity door locks, but that's sadly only on the front doors, not on the rear. And in the rear is your typical Bronco. You got two switches here. One for your glass, the other for your entire hatch, making it useful to get inside to the cabin. Of course, the bumper, like I said, it is steel, and you got the integrated recovery hooks there. I think it's a good looking vehicle from front all the way to rear. I would have liked a tire carrier in the back with some sort of swing out arm, so that way, well, you don't get this hump here for the full size spare to be underneath. That way you can just get a little bit more space back to the inside. That being said, I do like what they've done with the back here, because this parcel shelf, of course, you can remove entirely, but you can also slide it forward. There are legs underneath where you can extend out. And then you get this little table right here. Of course, you can lock it into position so it doesn't roll away or anything like that, but you got a nice little platform here. Sure, it's only rated for 30 pounds, but it's great for cooking or doing whatever else that you need back here. It's very, very smart. And to add to that, you get lights right on the top, controlled by a switch inside, so you can still have full illumination of where you're actually working. It's actually quite brilliant. All of this makes sense, including the fact that there's no electronic liftgate here. I mean, if you're going to be camping in this, the last thing you want to do is press a button, have it go beep, beep, and have it slowly go up. This, you just use your hand. It's not that hard. They're thinking. I like that. The rear seats here, this is probably the weakest part of the Bronco Sport. I'm 5'11", while I have plenty of headroom, and I do like the lights that's right here on the ceiling. There just isn't a lot of legroom. The chassis itself is definitely not as long as some others, and because of that, definitely suffer a little bit back here. Although, that being said, I mean, it's not like it's the end of the world. This isn't like a two-door sports coupe or anything like that. This is still sufficient. I mean, if I go for a longer road trip, I might not be the most comfortable, but hey, at least my feet can go underneath the front seat. And that's something that you can't do on, well, some sedans. So that is definitely a positive. I get vents in the center, I get my USB ports and a household outlet in the center. But no, I don't get heated seats or anything like that, not baby shades, but it's fine. I got my cup holders in the middle, and it's more than comfortable enough. If you're thinking of using the Bronco Sport as your baby hauler, well, no problems. I am a child passenger safety technician, and I do want to show you exactly how well child seats fit. On the driver's side, this is a Collect Lane infant seat. I did have to move the driver's seat forward a little bit for myself at 5'11" in order to fit this infant carrier. On the passenger side, this is a Collect Fünf in rear facing. Very similar, I did have to move that passenger seat forward just to accommodate a rear facing seat. In terms of lower anchors, you get two sets, one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. Very easy to find those, and same with the three upper anchors just behind the bench. But let's move up front. Up front, well, these seats are actually very comfortable. They got a good amount of bolsters on the side, and the fabric choice is adequate. It's not like the world's nicest Napa leather or anything like that, but that's fine. You don't need that in an outdoorsy vehicle. What you want is something that's easy to clean, and well, that definitely fits these. They are also heated but not cooled or, well, massaging or anything like that. But heated seats, at least for outdoors, I think that is a nice touch. Speaking of nice touch, the steering wheel, it is heated as well. However, the buttons that's on here is essentially the same as Ford Focus and Fiestas from years ago. Although, I must admit, they work well, so it's not like they need to change it, but maybe it looks a little out of date in 2025. What doesn't look out of date though, is your full digital gauges. Yes, they've gone with full digital gauges rather than the split analog digital ones that you had from last year. You can control them with the button here on the steering wheel to change your different views and whatnot. Honestly, they don't add too much to the cluster comparing to previous years, but I mean, it's a full digital gauge. It's not something that every manufacturer is implementing. Something that a lot of other manufacturers are implementing is a big display, and it is relatively large. Compared to the 8-inch unit of last year, well, this is absolutely massive. But with that, you get some drawbacks, because no longer do you get the dedicated controls underneath, and you don't get the dedicated climate controls as well. Everything is now baked in to the screen. It's not horrible. You can press your auto button right here, adjust your temperature. However, everything is through the screen. But what's nice is Ford include this little ledge so that you can rest your hand on here and still have access to the screen. Some other manufacturers, well, you kind of have to like hold it on the top to kind of flick through the screen. This, although small, it's a very nice integration to make things just a little bit easier. Overall, this interior makes sense. No, it doesn't have to be filled with the most luxurious materials. It's a Bronco. It's designed for off-road. The easily wipeable materials that they give you in here is exactly what this vehicle is designed for. You even get smart things like USB-C ports right on the top, so you can charge your action cam, you can charge your radio, anything that you really need. It's, well, just smart that way. And you even get switches on the top. They're not wired to anything, but they're pre-configured so you can have auxiliary lights, winch, what have you. It's all there. It's actually really, really perfect. And under the hood, in my opinion, it actually is, well, the powertrain that makes quite a bit of sense. Because under the hood is a 1.5 liter 3-cylinder. It makes 181 horsepower and 190 pound-feet of torque. Mated to that is, of course, the 8-speed automatic and all-wheel drive. The thing to keep in mind with this powertrain, it's developed for efficiency, not so much for outright power. Because when you floor it, I mean, it's not the slowest thing. There are definitely slower SUVs out there. However, it does feel like this 3-cylinder struggles a little bit. 0 to 60 comes in just over 8 seconds, and if you get the 2-liter, it's under 6. Sure, that is powerhouse type of power. Well, this is, like I said, it's more designed for efficiency. Not that it's a bad thing, because, well, you're still beating the forest or wilderness, right? That's definitely a positive. However, we gotta talk about some negatives with this Sasquatch package. With the bigger wheels and tires, you get more road noise. And these AT tires, you definitely hear them. Just standard in the city driving, or especially on the highway, they add a little bit more that constant whining road noise that it gets a little annoying after a bit. Sure, you can put on noise canceling headphones, but you're in a car. You're not going to be doing that. Another negative is, well, this 1.5, along with the Sasquatch package, well, you get a hit for fuel consumption. In the city, it's still better than the 2-liter. However, on the highway, it's worse. So, for most, if you're traveling further distances on the highway, the 2-liter actually makes more sense. And it's not like the 2-liter costs a whole lot more. It's about like $3,000-$4,000 more. So you get more power, you get better efficiency on the highway. It almost sounds like the 2-liter makes more sense for most people. And it does. However, if you're strictly city, the 1.5 is more than sufficient. And because it's a 3-cylinder, it actually makes a cool sound. Because when you floor it, it's unique. There's not a lot of 3-cylinders that's out there. Because of that, it just sounds cool. And as an enthusiast, that's definitely something I consider when buying my vehicle. I want it to sound cool. I don't want it to sound like a trumpeting VQ. That's just annoying. I don't want an annoying car. In terms of the way it drives, yeah, the AT tires, you give up some of that lateral grip, but let's be honest, it's a Bronco Sport. You're not gonna be racing in the hills or anything like that, so it doesn't really matter. Sure, the suspension is raised a little bit, but you don't really sense that all that much. This package, sure, it's designed for off-road, but still, in the city, I think it makes perfect sense. It's not too crazy where there's a lot of sacrifices. I don't feel like there's too many sacrifices here. It's still a very well-rounded vehicle for you to drive every day in the city with absolutely no effort. And for a standard daily driving vehicle, which, well, let's be honest, the Bronco Sport, it's going to be, that's what you want, right? You want low effort. And that's what they give you. The only thing is price. Aspect here with all the bells and whistles, including the graphics that it has on, it's about 55,000 Canadian dollars, and that's a decent amount of money because, well, the Forester Wilderness is quite a bit less. I think that's like 47, and the RAV4 Trail, that's like 42. But of course, with this, well, you get the GOAT modes, you get that locking rear diff, you get all those things that make this an actual off-roader. So if you're in the market for something that not only can look the part but do what it's designed for, definitely take a look at this. Because the Bronco Sport, it's actually quite sweet. And there's a bit of charm about it that I absolutely love. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. Like the video if you do, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch you next time in something maybe a little bit different. Of course, you can click on the cards that's going to pop up on my face, and you can watch something else. In any case, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Take care.